I'm Paco, and you're watching Bad Witch Books. Hey guys, how are we doing? Today I am filming a new video, and I am giving you guys the top 10 books of 2025. It is wild. I have done 4 other top 10s. I've been on BookTube for 5 years. It's crazy at this point, and so this is my 4th time doing this. And that's just wild to say. But a year has come and gone. I read a total of 77 books. Not as much as I was hoping for. And, but I did read a lot of good ones. I did read a good number of them. And I did read a lot of favorites. So, and we do have some new authors on this list. And yeah, so let's see if you can guess, pause the video and guess books that you think are going to be on this list. If you've watched the channel, if you're a friend, and if you haven't, don't know, guess. But here we go. So starting at number 10, we have Where the Dark Stands Stills by A.B. Pornick. I started this book in 2024 in November, and then I had to put it down, and then I picked it up again in January. And I loved it. Oh, A.B. Pornick, author author at this point, because I read this book, and I also really loved her Swan Lake retelling, which I can't think of the name of it right now, on the top of A Treasury of Swans, which I loved. But this book, I think this year, which you'll see more, I've realized if it's a House Moving Castle retelling, I'm going to eat it up, because there's another book's House Moving Castle retelling vibes. And then I'm just going to eat it. But this book follows our girl Laskia. She has magic, and it is not wanted. People think she's kind of, like, if she thinks if people find out that she has magic, then she will be, like, killed and kicked out of her village, and it will affect her family, and so she's trying to get rid of it. So she goes into this magical forest looking for this flower that can grant a wish. When she tries to get the flower, she runs into the Leshy, which is like the demon king of the forest, and he's all like, you can't have that, but if you serve me for a year, I'll let you take it, and you could use it. And so she goes to work for his manor as the servant girl, and she discovers more secrets. She discovers that he is a protector for the people of the forest, and it's really good. I love the magic in here. I love the folklore. It's inspired by Polish folklore, and I loved everything about it. I love our main character. The writing style was excellent. This was so good. I definitely am putting this at my top 10 list. I did not say before I got into it that none of these books are in any particular order, except for probably the top 3 are the top 3 of the year. But everything else can go. They're not like, this is number 10, this is my least favorite of my favorites. I love them all for different reasons. So the next book, I would not have read as much if it wasn't for Princess. Because Princess read this, raved about it, and loved it. And then I picked it up, and I was like, oh, 10, 10, 10s across the board. And that's Heavenly Bodies by Imani Iru. This book follows, it's a world inspired by the Zodiac, and it follows the princess of, like, the Pisces kingdom. Her name is Ilara, and she is the daughter of the Pisces kingdom. She's the princess, and she's on the run because the star, which is the god, one of the stars has, like, destroyed her family, and she's on the run, so she goes to the kingdom of Helios, which is like the Leo kingdom, and the prince captures her and is like, the king captures her and he's like, you have to work with the prince so that we can kill this star. And so shit happens. We got some enemies to lovers. We got some good romantasy shit. This is, to me, if I think of a good romantasy, this is just perfect romantasy. What I love about it, what I like about romantasy is in this book. I love the world building is really cool. It's got a really fun magic system. It's got a cool mythology. And the romance is top tier to me. I finished the sequel. It was the last book I read this year. And I also really loved it. So this shares the spot with Fallen Stars. But this was so good. And I can't get enough. I can't wait for the finale this year. And it was so good. The next book I have is Bewitching by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I really enjoyed this. I was surprised. It was a Silvia Moreno Garcia book about witches. And it's a generational story. So the story follows 3 women. I believe, what are their names? Marvina, her grandmother when her grandmother was young, and a woman that Marvina is studying, because Marvina is a college student who is trying to write an essay about her favorite horror writer who had a friend that went missing, and she is trying to find more about that friend. That friend that went missing is the other perspective, and then Marina's grandmother, and all about how witchcraft entangled all three of these women's lives. It is a really good, I would say more thrillery than horror-y vibes, but I really like this. I want more from this world. I liked Marina as a character. I thought the witches were really cool and creepy, and it was really interesting. It has some parts that are really uncomfortable, but I overall really enjoyed this book. And I am, like, Sylvia Moreno Garcia's, this is, I don't know if this beats Gods of Jade and Shadow, my favorite Sylvia Moreno Garcia book, but it's up there for sure. And, I mean, I just high-key enjoyed this. Next book on this list is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by Victoria Schwab, V. Schwab. So this book, if you do not know what it's about, because it's been all everywhere, is about 3 lesbian vampires and how they are toxic as shit. It follows 3 women through 3 different timelines. It follows Sabine in, like, the long time ago in Spain, I think. Basically, the story is about hunger, 1532 in San Domingo, a story about love in 1827 London, and a story about rage in 2019. It follows these 3 women as vampirism has affected them and how they all play into each other's lives, and it's really good. It is about how vampirism and immortality can rot the soul, and I really enjoyed this. V. Schwab said this is like her sapphic response to the Interview with the Vampire TV show, which I really enjoy, and I just love it. I love how toxic it was. I thought the characters were really, like, compelling, and I would love maybe to see a movie about this if somehow that would happen. But I think the writing was top-notch. V. Schwab is a hit-or-miss author for me, and this is a hit, definitely. This is kind of what I wanted Addie LaRue to be, even though this is like Addie LaRue with some more bite, but as a, like, historical context, because Addie LaRue was an immortal. What I wanted to see, we got to see a lot of, like, timeline stuff I really liked in this book, and I just really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the bite this book had, the darkness of it, and, like, the rot is kind of talked about a lot as a theme here, and I really enjoyed that. I think this is a really good book. Shifting gears, we are going to my next, we are at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, my 6th book of the year, and that was Blood Over Brighthaven by Emma Wong. This book is a hard hitter, especially for current times, and especially when I was reading this, because the day I was reading this was the day I finished this book is the day that TikTok went black, if you remember, in America. That political propaganda shit. But Blood Over Brighthaven is about a woman named, I read this in January, Sakona, who is the first woman archmage to, like, she's the first woman to get to this level of mage at her school in the country, and she is like the first one to do this. Everyone is, like, thinking she's not a fraud, but they think she barely made it and that she's not worthy, and so when she gets a lab partner, it is not, like, who her lab partner is supposed to be. She gets a janitor. Turns out this janitor is from a people that are treated like second-class citizens, and they discover some shit about the Empire with her research project that it just goes apeshit. And that's all I really want to say about, like, the plot of this book. I thought the topics discussed about propaganda. I thought the topics discussed about colonialism and the effects of it talking about capitalism was really powerful, especially, like I said, the day I read this just really hit, and that's an experience I'll never forget. The rage that our characters have is very poignant, and it feels cathartic in a sense to read the rage, especially, like, today's climate. And I really enjoyed this book. Emma Wong is definitely an author I'll be reading more of. And I am excited to try Sword of Kai again. I will eventually. It's just so big that it's going to be a minute till I read it. But I definitely suggest this. Also, if you're like a nerd, the magic system is coding, which like I can't get over even though I'm not even like a nerd like that. I think that's really interesting and a cool way that she did that. Okay, we are, I think, at the halfway point, right? So, at the halfway point, at number 5, we have another book that I said was a Howl's Moving Castle retelling, and that is The Maid and the Crocodile. This follows, I think her name is Sadie. Small Sade. I was close. Small Sade. This takes place in the Raybearer universe. I would definitely suggest finishing the Raybearer duology before you reading this, even though you don't have to. It would just definitely help. This book follows Small Sade as she is a sin eater. She can eat other people's sins. She can make them feel better about themselves by eating like their insecurities and stuff like that. As she is looking for work. She is a maid. She is kind of kicked from her orphanage and is like, time to be a woman. And she is on the look for a job where she runs into the crocodile god. And shit happens. This talks a lot about classism. It talks a lot about class unrest and class warfare. And it talked about it, and it talked about in a way, and it was informative, but in a way that wasn't like we're on a soapbox. It felt very natural to me of how we discussed it. It didn't feel like we were getting hit over the head with the messaging. Which can be the case sometimes, but I really enjoyed this. I thought the romantic relationship was really strong. The magic system is really good. And I mean, Jordan Fueko is just an amazing author. I love the Raybearer duology, and this is just another strong hit. This is also further proof of my Paco loves Howl's Moving Castle retellings. Also, I love the movie Howl's Moving Castle, one of my favorite movies of all time. And this, Where the Dark Stands Still, and a book that is an honorable mention, which I'm going to mention the honorable mentions before we get to the final book. Next, we have Immortal by Sun Lin Tan. So, this book really helped me. Do you ever have a book that you read when you need it? I was going through a really dark time this last year, in February. My grandma was having brain surgery, and I was just in a really dark mental place. And this book was a light in the darkness for me. It had me kicking my feet reading it. I definitely needed this book when I read it. It was so good. The romance was so sweet. I was like giggling, texting Helen and Princess, like, girl, I need to talk about this with someone because it's just so good. So this book will forever have a special place in my heart. I think this might have been the first book I gave like 5 stars because I don't give my 5 stars out too easily. A lot of books are 4.5. They just are sometimes missing something that I need to, like, a little, like, just special Paco dust. I don't know. That sounds weird. But yeah, just special, like this Paco stamp of approval. And Immortal has it, definitely. It was so good. The characters were fun. The world is great. Sun Lin Tan's an amazing author. This book takes place in her daughter's the Daughter of the Moon Goddess. And I will say this is the first time I've read a book where it takes place in the same world as a book, but you do not need to read the other series. You could read this before you read Daughter of the Moon Goddess. There's no mention of anything. It does not spoil anything for Daughter of the Moon Goddess. But this book follows our princess, Lien, and she is the princess to this kingdom that is ruled by the gods. They are like protected from the outside world by these gods. And her grandfather, who is the emperor of this, like, or king, I don't know if it's an emperor or king. It doesn't say. But he dies, tragically, and it is kind of the god's fault. And she now has to work with the god of war, who is, like, the one everybody is terrified of, and maybe have been responsible for her grandfather's death. She has to work with him for something, and that's all I want to talk about, like, the plot-wise. I just love this book. It's got, like, enemies to lovers, not really, but it was so good. I needed this when I read it, and it just, touched my heart. I loved it. The action was great. The gods were great. It was all fun. Whew, okay. We are at the top 3 books, and these top 3 are also, they're the top of the top, but they can be in any order because these are books that I constantly go back to. All these books, for like to be my top, I have to constantly, like, in my head while I'm thinking of, just think back to certain scenes. I think back to certain moments just throughout the year. And number 3 is Oathbound, the 3rd book in the Legendborn saga. Our girl Tracy Deonn is back with another heavy hitter book. This is the 3rd book that follows Brie Matthews as she has to do with white people bullshit, basically. And the journey that Brie goes on in this book is so great to see. She gets more of her power, she learns more of her power, and it's great to see that. I don't want to go too much into the plot just because it is a 3rd book in a series, but I love the fact, so I got to see, and I think this added to the fact that I went to the book talk for this book. I went to the book release for it. Not the book release, it was like the book tour. Had a whole day. Took the train to San Fran. Had the whole day. And watching Tracy Deonn talk about it, I already love this series, but like I grew more of a love for it listening to Tracy Deonn in person talk about the series. And the way that because this is the first book that opens up the world in the sense of like, we're not just in Brie's head in this book, we're in other people's head. But looking at the care that she put that still made Brie the center of the story for all the other POVs, really to me stood out. The plot twist at the end was plot twisting. I mean, why are we surprised? The other 2 books in the Legendborn saga. And I am so excited for the finale. Brie Matthews, the girl you are. Tracy Deonn, the woman you are. Just get me out, or someone knock me out until the next book comes out, please. Because I am so ready. This is a chunker, but it didn't feel like a chunker. The new characters we met were really cool. Mariah, you are my girl till the end. But yeah. Who is surprised that Mariah is my favorite? She is a death magic, ancestral magic girly. Okay, number 2 that I have is Ascension by S.T. Gibson. This is the sequel to Evocation, and this follows mainly Rhys. As Rhys is growing into his new role, he starts to think, I can do everything myself. I just need to keep summoning demons to bound to me. And everybody around him is like, hey, maybe you should, like, ask for help. And he's like, no, I just need to keep doing this myself. And that's basically the plot of this book. And I really enjoyed this. I love this series. The series gives me that adrenaline, the drama, the messiness of a CW show. And I love it. It's gay as hell. It's messy as hell. It's drama. The magic, it's got a esoteric magic system that is just very like real world magic, and I really love it. I am so excited for the 3rd book because it's Moira's Maureen. I'm blanking on names. It's following Moira's book. There we go. My mind blanked. Fizzled for a second. But it's following Moira's book, and I'm so excited. But this one was so good. I love David. I love Moira. I love Rhys. I love this trilogy with my heart. This series with my heart. Okay, so before we get to my last book for this list, we are going to do some honorable mentions. So I do the Halfling Saga by Melissa Bear. That's the first book. I read the first book in 2024, but all 3 of the other books this year. Probably the best series I read. I read that whole series. The rest of the series in 2025, and it had me crying at work. There was like a scene in the last book that like I was bawling my eyes out at work. Luckily, I was by myself, putting like paper towels away. But like I could picture it in my head clearly, and it was really good. That is a high key honorable mention. What else? Saviction, which was a really fun, really good Zorro retelling by Sandra Proudman. Really fun YA read. And then Her Majesty's Royal Coven finale, Human Rights by Juno Dawson. Great epic conclusion to that book. And then, if you watch my last December TBRs, there were a lot of really good books in December. The Jasad Crown, I think is the last book titled. I do this, we'll see if I edit it in there. But Yearning Personification. Oh, the tension that you're earning in that book. And then also, even though it comes out in 2026, Carnival Fantastico, definitely going to be one of my favorites. Angela Montoya, The Woman You Are, The Author You Are. So good. All right. Now it's time for the last book of the year. And if you haven't seen this list, you've seen this list, you should know it. I want to know how many of you guessed it right. But we have The Night in the Moth by Rachel Gillig. This book is so good. So good. So good. Will I maybe contribute this to the massive reading slump that I got in for the second half of the year? Because, like, I read this in June, and then after that, it was a really downhill slope of how much I wasn't reading. Was it maybe related to The Night in the Moth? I don't know. Was it related to depression? Maybe. But, The Night in the Moth. This is the first book in a new duology by Rachel Gillig. It follows Sybil, who is a seer, and she works at this, like, church thing, the Abbey, and her sisters start going missing, and so she asks for the help of this heretic knight that she meets, and the king, to help find her sisters, and they go on a mission. And I loved it so much. I love Sybil. I love Roderick. Oh, so good. I love Bartholomew. The gargoyle is one of the best side characters I've read in a long time. The ending, I still, even though I physically and listen to the audiobook at the same time, still hear the ending in my head to this day. This book is so good. I cannot stop thinking about it. The atmosphere, Rachel Gillig, the atmosphere. Oh, it felt like I was out at the river in the cold, dark night. So good. So good. So good. So good. I just keep thinking about it. The writing was amazing. The characters were awesome. The world was really unique. I just can't get over it. So yeah, those are my top books of the year for 2025. It is crazy that we are already in 2026. It's crazy that we are like 8 days into 2026. I don't even want to think about how many days we're in, how many books I haven't read. But yeah. What are your guys' top 10 or your top favorite book of the year? If you guessed any right, let me know. Or if you don't know what to say, leave a butterfly emoji because of One Dark Window, because it's a moth. Night in the Moth, not One Dark Window, Night in the Moth, but there's no moth emoji, I don't think. If there is a moth emoji, leave a moth emoji. If not, leave a butterfly emoji if you don't know what to say. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!